Hi, John Monroe here, and I'm going to check out a new bike lane, a little bit of a product review. It's down there. I'm at a roundabout here on Priory Road in Birmingham, and I'm gonna ride down Priory Road past the Edgbaston Cricket Grounds, testing out the new bike lane they put in there in recent weeks, up to basically the next roundabout that I'll come to on Edgbaston Road. So it's a new bike lane. It has, it's been long anticipated. Let's see how it looks. Okay, so I backed up a little bit to get a safer entrance into this roundabout here. This hill's usually a little bumpy, so my jangly bell, apologies for that. So I have a few reasons for wanting to check out this lane. One, because a new bike lane in Birmingham is a big deal, no matter what, because there's so few of them. Secondly, this is an important part of how you get to Cannon Hill Park from where I live, and it's somewhere where I like to go with my kids, but we don't go that often because it's so dangerous to get there. As you can see, imagine riding on this road with kids, and this is one of the main ways to get there. So having part of the route improved with a bit of safety for us is a big draw. So that's another big reason. And another one is that this lane is, again, it's very much anticipated. Because the construction was happening for quite a long time on it. And it also intersects with an intersection up here where a young doctor, Susanna Bull, was killed by a dangerous driver at this dangerous junction about 5 years ago. So it also had a very specific and horrible reason why it hopefully was a bit of a priority for the city to get this put in, even though it took some time. So there's kind of a lot sort of connected to this lane, giving it the opportunity to be a bit of a sort of prestige lane, really, in terms of what it can feature, given that it connects through to one of the most important city parks. It's a site of a horrible moment of road violence. Oh, here we go, here it begins. Okay, so get up onto the sidewalk, fine. And I'm not sure if it was specifically considered to be part of the legacy of the Commonwealth Games, which just happened here, but it also has that potential connection as well. Okay, so far, not so bad. Feels pretty safe up here. That's a heck of a lot better than that road I was just on. I believe this is the junction where Susanna Bull was killed before I lived in Birmingham, but I certainly read about it. Oh, I see, I need to press this button up here, okay. So I'll keep going beyond the park, because I'm not going to the park right now, but it's one of the reasons why this lane is so important is for just that. So it looks like they maybe widened the sidewalk and painted these lines, so it's a bit of a mixed use with pedestrians, but also looks like there's enough space for everyone too. Green light. I mean, when it's as dangerous as it is to get to the lane, it just signals that we need to keep going. But this little stretch is pretty nice. Okay. Red light. So this is the cricket grounds here, which I haven't been to, but obviously this is another major place where people would want to arrive, some on their bikes as well. Okay, so it looks like it continues on the other side. That's maybe not such good news because, well, we'll see. If you want to keep going, you might have to switch back again.
Better or worse with this?
I'm trying to figure it out myself. I'm recording right now, doing a
right and onto the path,
I know it's a little confusing. Well, it's not confusing, but I'm not sure if it's better or not. It certainly seems a lot slower. Are you in favor?
Anything that takes me out of the route of traffic, I'm in favour.
Good point. Very good point.
Maybe a bit slow, but I'd rather that than dead, eh?
Yeah, that is an excellent point. Safe ride. Okay, I'm just gonna stop at this pedestrian light here. So, exactly, that guy's point about speed versus safety. So, this is clearly slower, but it's safer. And that's the balance. And that's my interest behind these things, again, not being anybody with any technical expertise in terms of road engineering, but more just someone who's interested in the politics of public space. I'm interested in these forms of infrastructure as kind of announcements of a kind of ideology, and the ways that they reflect, express, entrench, or challenge different kind of power arrangements in our society. And we know that in England, car ownership sort of affords a certain relationship with the public space of the city that people who don't own cars don't really participate in, or don't get to. So this balance between safety and convenience is always an interesting one in terms of how it plays out for people in cars versus everyone else. Okay, so it looks like this is the end of the lane. So that kind of makes sense for people who are going into the park. Right here, this is Cannon Hill Park's entrance. Yeah, there's the sign there, end of route. So I have to cross. And the roundabout, the other roundabout I'm going to is just up there in terms of this video, because I just wanted to capture the lead up to the lane and the lane itself. So that's it. And then back on the dangerous road. Okay, let me, so the other roundabout that I was going to is just here for purposes of this video, but maybe I'll turn around here and just come back. We're gonna do that. Let's have a look at it going the other way. Thank you. Okay, so coming this way, gotta watch for pedestrians, which is not a problem. But it can be the case that it's not too many people around right now, but it could be crowded, and it's always a potential point of conflict when you have pedestrians and cyclists sharing the same space. So in terms of this balance then between, see, there's someone who's, now that's the interesting question, is it worth using the lane or not? And if I was with my kids, I mean, again, I would struggle to get to the lane, which is a reason why we don't go to Cannon Hill Park very much. But once we got to it, we would certainly use it, because my stress level would go down as soon as we got on this. So if that's, but that also is a kind of scenario in which we would be doing some leisurely kind of trip to the park. If you're commuting, or even if you're not commuting, you're just trying to get somewhere, it says something that for cyclists, it says, okay, you can be safe through this little stretch of the city, the minute or two that it takes. But in exchange, you'll be quite inconvenienced by having to wait at all these lights and cross one side of the road and then the other. it's pretty poor as far as all that goes. And that's where the kind of ideological part comes in. Clearly, the idea that if you owned a car and the road infrastructure more or less announced, this will be safe for a short stretch, but only at great inconvenience to yourself, or somewhat of an inconvenience to yourself. That's just not how they do it. So there is a kind of hierarchy that plays into this, even though this is at the same time a bit of a challenge to the usual arrangements in terms of how public space in Birmingham works, where there's, again, almost no cycling infrastructure at all. We're just at the very beginning of making the kinds of transformations that you see and increasingly are seeing in other cities. But again, that gentleman said it well, like anything's better than nothing, more or less. Anything that keeps us safe for a bit. There's a few more users. Good to see. I guess the question for myself, if I was riding through here between those two roundabouts, going somewhere, not with my kids, just on my own, would I actually use this lane? Maybe not. It's just too much bother, really, to be safe for such a brief part of the journey anyways. If I'm riding somewhere that takes me 45 minutes and 2 of those minutes are going to be safe by adding 10 minutes to my time, it's probably not worthwhile. So there's also a kind of, I don't know, perverse way in which the construction of these kinds of bike lanes that actually are, you know, they're inconvenient by comparison to just going straight like all the car drivers are doing right now. If you want to be safe, you don't get to share in that convenience. And so if you decide that you just want to get to where you're going and you'll forego the relative safety of the bike lane in order to just get there, that in a way doubles your risk, because on the one hand, now you're back in the road with the cars, which is dangerous everywhere. But secondly, some car drivers, especially those who don't ride bikes, so they don't know the kind of ins and outs of the convenience and inconvenience and everything else, if they see you riding in the road next to a bike lane, can make them extra mad, extra aggressive, and put you in extra danger. So now if I'm going back up Priory Road the way I came, this is actually one of the worst features of the whole thing. Because look, I'm gonna have to cross all of these roads, this, you know, very bad pedestrian infrastructure they have everywhere here, where pedestrians have to wait twice to cross one road, sometimes 3 times. So I'm gonna keep the camera running while I get at least over to the other side of this intersection, just to see. I'm probably gonna spend more time crossing this intersection than the entirety of the time spent in the lane. Whereas if you're in a car, you pull up till you get a green light and then you go. So this is another way that the ideological part of it kind of functions. Who gets convenience and who gets safety? Okay, so a very long light here. Wow. So it's hard to imagine anybody who uses this lane even once who has to do this part. Unless, again, it's somebody with kids or something, which I sometimes am, who would do this again. Crossing to this side and then having to cross twice to keep going straight, or cross 4 lights to keep going straight, is a really bad deal. My mixed review is turning more negative as I'm standing here for longer and longer. Wow. So I guess the alternative is they could have kept the lanes on each side, taken a little more of the very ample, oh my God, I'm just gonna cross, I can't wait any longer. The very ample space for cars, and if they had the lane on the left-hand side, then you could have gone straight up Priory Road. Okay, now what's the deal here? I don't normally cross here as a... Oh my God, is it the case that you can't You're supposed to go all the way down there to cross? I guess I could have crossed on that side, but if you're a pedestrian and you happen to be on this side, oh my God, this is very poor. I wonder if anyone who designed this has used it on a bike. Or for that matter, if anyone who does any of the designs on this city ever rides a bike. Okay, so come all the way down here. Cross again. Okay, I'm just gonna go because it takes forever. Same here, it's not busy today, so I'll just go. This puts me into a little bit of the blue lane while I get back to Priory Road, which I was going up. Wow. So now this kind of convenience versus safety thing, yes, it was safe, but I was very inconvenient, and I even crossed at several red lights. Now I want to turn left. Okay, you just do that. And then back up the hill. Which again, if I was with my kids, if we took the route, the bike route and did all that and took all that time, that's fine. We ride pretty slow anyways when we're all together. But then, even with that, it doesn't encourage us to come over this way because I let them ride on the sidewalk on the roads, but on this road, leading back up to the roundabout where I started, the sidewalk ends before that, which is also really something for pedestrians. If you're walking up this road, you'll see here, you get to here, and then you can either, I don't know, scurry along this wall or run across the road. And for some people, elderly people, someone in a wheelchair, neither of those options are really at all acceptable. Just as riding on this road with my kids is out of the question. So I'm curious. I wonder, I might do this again. without the bike lane, just to compare. Okay, so I'll stop here. I'm gonna do a second round for my own curiosity without the lane and see how that feels. Okay, take two. Let's see how it looks without the bike lane. I wasn't timing this, but I guess because it's recorded, I can time it. We'll see what the difference is. I'm on my single speed bike as I usually am, so I can't go very fast. Okay, so we'll hope through here that no drivers take offense to the fact that I'm gonna just go in the road. Which it's my right to do, but I know some people really don't like it when they see a bike lane close at hand. Especially if they haven't ridden it themselves on a bike, and so therefore don't really know what it involves. So let's say I was going, I don't know, across town to go meet a friend or something, or say I was in a rush for some reason, whatever. Sometimes you have reasons why you don't want it to take a lot longer than necessary, regardless of your mode of transportation. And you'll see pedestrians walking in the bike lane. That doesn't bother me one bit, that's fine. But it also does mean that it's a, you know, it's a lane to go slow in. Which again is part of sort of what it's saying about who has priority and who is kind of a secondary feature of transportation. So look at the width of the road here. So many lanes, so much square footage. Again, I'm not an engineer or a road engineer, but if they'd have put the lane in on the other side, as well as on this side, because the worst part is definitely going back up, as you saw, having to cross all those many pedestrian crossings just to get across that one road there. Not good. Okay, here we go. I decided not to filter. Just keep my place in the line here. Just to keep everybody's temperature as cool as possible as we go through here. Okay. So just like the rest of the cars, just gonna flow through here. Look at that. So much faster. Here I'm waiting, but you also would wait on the other side at the pedestrian crossing there. So this seems parallel in terms of amount of time taken. And this side is also, when I'm with the kids, which is again my concern about going to the park, it's relatively safe because they ride on this wide sidewalk and I just ride in the road as I am now. And actually, this is also a little safer because for those drivers who would get upset that I'm not using the bike lane, it's over there. It's not so immediate to their view. So I also feel safer in that regard. Okay, so passing by the park. And here I'm gonna do the roundabout and go back again, mostly because I'm interested in the timing. The time difference between doing this with the bike lanes and without. Okay, so like that gentleman we saw before who was riding next to the lane here, now I have a bit better of an understanding as to why. And I should also add, the reason why I wasn't here for the Commonwealth Games, and the reason why I'm only getting to experience this lane now, is because I was in Vancouver over much of the summer in Canada, and there was very interesting to see, that's the city I grew up in, it was very interesting to see how many more bike lanes they put in, proper ones too, not like this, ones that are more sort of based around like pointing you in the direction you actually want to go, as opposed to all this stop, start, wait. In Vancouver, as I know as a commuter cyclist in the 90s, used to be just as bad as Birmingham is now. Vancouver isn't like magically better somehow. It took a lot of fighting and it took a lot of convincing and a lot of getting people on side in order to come around to see that the city's much better when you have a more democratic allocation of public space and you don't have to own something so expensive as a car in order to have the right to be able to have convenience and timeliness as you move through your city. So Vancouver is very much on my mind as a point of comparison for this. But the other thing about Vancouver that always needs to be said in relation to this is, at the same time as all of that positive stuff happened, Vancouver also has moved into a pretty orchestrated housing crisis, in which housing prices have gone off the scale and renters are being increasingly squeezed, and it's a very big negative for the city. And the bike lanes didn't cause the housing crisis, but it's something to guard against. If Birmingham's gonna, look at how much faster this is, I'm already going up this hill. If Birmingham is gonna really begin to get on with the work, I mean, that bike lane there is, I don't know, it's something, I guess. But to really get on with the work of making a proper, convenient, and safe network, then that makes the city better, and it makes it nicer and more pleasant, and property speculators will take advantage of that situation to raise housing prices and make more money. Landlords make more money, everybody else gets more squeezed. So Birmingham would do well to look at the example of Vancouver in terms of what you can do in terms of cycling infrastructure, which is far from perfect there, but it's just way better than here. But at the same time, the housing situation, which you don't want to reproduce unless you're a well-connected conservative politician or landlord or something. Okay, last part of the hill. Well, it's definitely felt a lot faster. I'm gonna be interested to see the difference in the time when I look at the recordings. I'll end at the same place I did on the first one. The single speed means I can't go very fast down the hills. Whew. Means I get a little workout on the way up. I go here, thank you. Okay, pull over right here. Okay, so I had a look at the clips, and it looked like it was about 12, 11 minutes or something without using the bike lane, and maybe like 20 minutes with using it. And with using the bike lane, I also didn't cross the road properly at the major junction where there were all those pedestrian crossings. So I'd say roughly not using the bike lane is half as much time as using it, or double if you use it versus not. So if I was with my kids, that would be worth it. That would be a good deal. If I wasn't, I probably wouldn't. And that probably means that a lot of people won't use it either. So in the end, I'd maybe say 5 out of 10 for this. I really appreciate, especially in a place like Birmingham where we're just getting started with cycling infrastructure, any effort to put in something to keep us more safe. But the compromises are so great on the design on this one, and for it to take twice as long to use it is not that great, especially when we all had to wait so long for this one to come in. Dr. Bull was killed at that intersection there like about 5 years ago, so it's been a long wait, and the results are a little disappointing. But again, as someone said as I was passing him on the ride, it's kind of better than nothing. So I guess that's what we'll settle for. So there it is, Birmingham's new bike lane.